I'm just going to begin by asking what attracted you to getting involved in Dracula Untold?
Luke Evans, when I saw how attractive he was, I thought, who would not want to be in a movie with Luke? No, in all seriousness, I met with Gary. We had lunch and he started telling me about the film. He said, this is, big action adventure film, but at the heart of it is this love story. And at the time I was really looking to tell a romance. So yeah, I think it was really kind of Gary who convinced me.
Because I mean, your character sort of contends with the more intimate kind of family side to proceedings. Was that quite difficult to kind of come to terms with in such sort of grandiose surroundings?
Not at all. I think that what I love about our version of this story is that it's an origin story. It's about pulling apart the myth of Dracula and looking at the man behind this legend. And it's the human qualities, it's the humanity that this story really tells is what I thought was so fascinating. And for me, women in vampire films or Dracula films, sometimes it's more about suppressing their sexuality and really Morena was celebrating her love for Vlad. They have this beautiful relationship, this passionate love, this connection, and I thought that was really exciting to me. I'm more interested in exploring male-female intimacy than having superpowers.
But I mean, of course, because you have sort of worked on a superhero movie before, I was wondering, do you see Dracula Untold in those terms? Do you see it as a superhero movie of sorts, or did you sort of approach it in a completely different way?
I think I kind of approached it in a different way. I mean, when I get a script and I'm, of course, the kind of the realm that you're working in, but you're creating the character, and the emphasis is on the character. And for me, it was more questions of, how do I make this woman from another time feel contemporary? How does she struggle with her choices to stay compassionate and stay loving her husband when he's making, terrible decisions? What drives her to sacrifice herself for love? Those questions.
So in some ways, was this more kind of closer to Belle than it was to Spider-Man then, in terms of how you might have approached it?
I guess maybe you could say that. Yeah, I think that, Belle was another really kind of beautiful story of love and compassion, and so maybe I was in that mindset, and that's why I approached this like that too.
Of course, another time we've got to see you put on an English accent. Mm-hmm. I was just wondering, does that come quite naturally to you? Or did you have to take quite a few vocal lessons, or?
The first time I did an English accent in a film was in A Dangerous Method, and ever since then people just thought I was British, so I kept booking British parts. Which works out well for me. I do a lot of work with the dialect coach each time I'm going to do a film that's in dialect, and I think that each accent is so different, especially based on the period. But my nana was British, so I grew up listening to a British accent.
And of course, this is a kind of period piece with sort of costumes and stuff. I was just wondering, does that help you get into the mindset of a character more, you think, when you're kind of embodying them in a more kind of physical way?
Well, absolutely. I think costume really influences how you're going to create your character. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's just a period costume that does that. All costumes do that. The way that you're dressing informs the way that you carry yourself, how you move. All of those things really help create this person that you're playing.
I was wondering as well, I mean, one thing that can really be said of your career so far is how diverse your sort of choices have been. I mean, you've worked from a whole variety of sort of genres and projects. Is that a kind of conscious decision from you to kind of to choose a project that is different to the last, to kind of test yourself, or?
I know that I think I've had the pleasure of working with some really talented actors and directors, and something that I've really learned through working with them is that the best artists are those who stay open. And so I think of myself as somebody who tries to remain open when it comes to choosing roles or meeting on films, and it's really just people that I'm attracted to. It's not about, I really have to tell the same story over and over again. It's like, who's this director? What has he got? I mean, what makes him tick? What makes this actor he's so great? And if we were in a scene together, what would that make great? And it's like those things that really excite me about filmmaking, because it's about working with people.
So you're more driven then by the talent involved rather than what's necessarily on the page?
Yeah.
Oh. So just finally, Girls' Night Out is that's coming soon.
Yep.
So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that and who you play.
Yeah, I play Princess Elizabeth. The film is about Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret on VE night. They were allowed to go out in London and celebrate with the people. On that night, they actually went to the Ritz. Now, our film is a bit of an embellishment. We're able to go to the Ritz and beyond in this great adventure. The film is very much in the same vein as Roman Holiday. I'm very excited about it.
Brilliant. Well, looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.